Today we'll be working on Chapter 6, Guided Project, 6-3. So it looks like we only have two files that we need that are required. We have the start file, which I'll download, and we have the instructions file, which I'm downloading now. My files, they go to this PC downloads folder, so there are my two files that I just downloaded. You can see that I have date modified. I have it sorted by the latest date, date modified. So I'm going to open up the instructions file, and I'll open up the start file. Alright, step 1, as usual, we're going to open the start file, which I already did. We're going to click the enable editing button, and my file has already been named correctly, so I'm just going to click on the enabling button. Alright, I completed step 1. I need to turn on the highlighter in Adobe so that I can mark that off. Step 2 says click the inventory sheet tab. So right now I'm in here, I'm going to click on inventory. That takes me to my inventory spreadsheet. Step 3 says select cells A3 to I39. Click the name box. Right, so I'm going to select cells A3. I'm going to go all the way down to I39, and it says click the name box. The name box is right here in the left hand corner, and it says this is going to be named inventory as the range name, and then I'm going to press enter. So anytime I select that, you see when I select A3 to I39, it doesn't have A3 up there. It has the word inventory in the name box. Step 4 says select cell L5 and type WE066. So I need to go over to L5. So there's L, that's L6. Go to L5. I know it's L5 because the L column is highlighted and the 5 row is highlighted. Also, if you look in the name box, it says L5. So I'm going to type WE006. Alright, step 5 says create a nested function with index and match to display inventory for product. Step 5A says select cell L6. I'm going to click on the Lookup and Reference button, which is located in the Formulas tab in the Functions group. I'm going to choose Index. And it says select the first argument list, array, row, underscore num, column, underscore num, and click OK. Alright, so if you see, when you click on these, on the different selections in the index argument, you'll see what each argument does. The array is a range of cells or an array constant. Row number selects the row in array or reference, and column number selects the column in array. So just keep in mind that even if you don't understand what these things know offhand, you can always click in the box and it'll tell you exactly what it's used for. All right, so it says took care of 5B. 5C says for the array argument, type inventory. So I'm going to type inventory in here. All right, so you see as I'm typing inventory in here, you see it equals to product ID, product color. It'll tell you what's being put or where the data's coming from. .5D says click the row number. And click the name box, arrow box, the name box arrow. Going to select match, and again, each time you select something and select the function area, it'll tell you exactly what that option is supposed to do or what it's going to do. Click cell L5 for the lookup value argument. And the lookup array is A3 through A39. Match function finds the row that matches cells L5 in column A. 5G says click the match type argument group and type 0. Click the index in the formula bar, which takes me back to the index argument, and it says click the column number argument, click the name box, select match. So that takes care of 5H. 5G. Lookup value, quantity, can't spell, quantity. Click the lookup array box, and we're going to select A3, I3. This match function finds the cell in the quantity column after the row is located by the first match. So that's taken care of. 5L says click the match type box and type 0. The formula is equal to, so if you look in the formula bar of your Excel worksheet, it should equal to this. And it does look like it matches it up here. Inventory match L5 A3 to A39 0, match quantity A3 to I3 0. And also if you look at the value here, the 5, It does match what's in figure 6-91. So once you click OK, which is 5M, it says the result is 2. It does look like the result is 2 here in L6. All right, it says click cell L5 and type WE010 and press enter. The quantity is updated. It does. All right, so basically what that index function is doing right now, you're typing in a product ID and it's giving you whatever the quantity is. So before we had 006 typed in there and it gave us a quantity of 2. If we type WE022 in, we should receive a quantity of 4. So I'm going to type WE022 and it gives me the quantity of 4. So that's pretty much what this function is doing. It's just looking up the quantity based off of whatever the product ID is. Okay, now is a good time to save your document. So I'm going to do a Control S. Remember that there's multiple ways that you can save your document. You can use the control button plus the S button. You can also click on the floppy disk up at the top left hand corner. You can actually turn on autosave if you want to. And you can go to the back page and by clicking file and pressing save. All right, moving on to step 6. Step 6 says use SUMIFS to calculate total pairs and stock by specific criteria. 6A says select cell L13. So I'm going to go down to 13 and I'm going to click on L. I know that I'm in L13 because column L is shaded and column 13 is shaded as well, and also in the name box L13. All right, step 6B says click the Math and Trig button, which is located in the Formula tab function group. So I'm going to go to my Formula tab. I'm going to go to my function group and select the Math and Trig button. It says select SUMIF. Now, keep in mind when you hover over these different functions or formulas in here, before you do a left click, that if you just hover over it, it'll tell you exactly what it's used for. So we're going to use the SUMIFS, not SUMIF, but SUMIFS, meaning we're going to have a multiple criteria in our SUMIF function. So it adds the cells specified by a given set of conditions or criteria. So we want SUMIFS with an S at the end, not SUMIF. So I'm going to select SUMIFS. All right, it says 6C says select cells E4 to E39 for the sum range and press F4 to add absolute references. So the absolute references are pretty much saying that use these rows or these columns constantly. Don't change them. So we're going to do a E4 to E39. So you see as I'm typing it in there, we're getting some values to the right of the equal sign. But I'm going to press the F4 function key. And you see it changes. It puts a $sign after the column and the row. Column and the row. Be sure that to add the absolute references to both the start cell, which I did, E4, you see your $signs, and the end cell in the range, which is E39. You see your E, your $sign E, $sign 39. So that's what that means there. That's very important that you have absolute values or absolute references for the column and the row, for the start cell and the end cell. 6D says click the criteria range 1 box. Select cells C4 to C39. So I'm going to go up to C4 and I'm going to go all the way down to C39. And I'm going to do F4. So you see when I do it from this lookup box, I do the F4 from there. It automatically does the start cell absolute reference and the end cell absolute reference. I didn't have to go through and select the start cell and the end cell individually and put the absolute reference in there. All right, criteria says, or 6E says, click the criteria 1 box and type BLA asterisk. So it's looking up looking for the black criteria. That's the black shoes. It's looking for that. All right, 6F says, click the criteria range 2 box and select cells D44 to D39. So criteria range 2 says go to D4, which I'm at D4, and I'm going to go all the way down to D39. And as I'm doing this, I'm looking in here to make sure I have the correct cells selected. So D4 to D39, and it says press F4 to put that absolute reference in there. It does it automatically for the start cell and the end cell. That takes care of 6F. 6G says click the criteria 2 range and type 8. So that's the size. I only want the size 8. So I'm going to type 8. And then it says this criteria specifies the number of black black shoes for size 8. And if you look in figure 6-92, that's how it should look. That's how the function argument should look for SUMIFS. And it says 6H says click OK. The result should be 7. Even before I click OK, I see that the result is 7 here, and I see down here it says the formula result is 7. So I'm going to click OK, and we see that shoes that are the color black with the size of 8, what we have in stock now is 7. So that's correct. 6I says select cell L14. I'm going to select L14 and use SUMIFS to sum black size 9 shoes in stock. So I'm going to pretty much do the same thing I did before. Wrong one. Select cells C4 to C39. I'm going to do my F4 function to make it an absolute reference. Actually, the sum range should be E4 to E39. So I can go in here and change the C. I'm going to change that to E. Change to C. Alright, so now you should have E4 to E39 with absolute references. The criteria range That's going to be the C4 down to C39. I'm going to do a F4. That makes it an absolute reference. And it says black shoes. So I'm going to do a BLA and I'm going to put an asterisk. And then my criteria range 2 is going to be from D4 down to D39. I'm going to do a F4 to make that an absolute. And the criteria is going to be size 9. So as I can see, as I'm typing, after I type the 9 in, I get a value of 4, a value of 4. I click OK. And you can also double check, you know, if you want to do it the long way, you go in and you look at the shoes that are black, size 9. You see you have one here. That's brown, size 9. You just want black, but you can go through and double check. There's the other one, black, size 9, 3 in stock. So that's where the 4 is coming from. It's just doing an automatic lookup for you by using the SUMIFS function. All right, so that takes care of 6I. 6J says select cell L15 and use SUMIFS to sum men's brown shoes. All right, so for this one, we're going to do the same, pretty much the same thing, but we need to switch up one of the criterias. So we're going to click on the Math and Trig. Go to SUMIFS. This is going to be E4 down to E39 because we want the quantity again. We're going to do a absolute reference, so we need to click our F4 function key. Criteria range for this one is going to be from F4 down to F39 because we're not looking for the color this time. We're looking for the gender, and that's going to have to be an absolute reference. And criteria is going to be M. Criteria range 2 is going to be brown shoes, so we actually do need the color of the shoe size, or the color of the shoe, not the size. And we're going to select C4 to C39, and we want BRO asterisk. After you click OK, it says that there are 22 shoes in stock that are for men and brown. Okay, so next for step 7, we're going to click the satisfaction survey worksheet and review the data. So I'm going to click on satisfaction survey worksheet and pretty much look at the data. So while in the satisfaction survey worksheet, we're going to select cells A4 to H40. And in the name the range survey. So after I select that, I'm going to go up to my name box and I'm going to type survey, hit enter. So anytime I select A4 over to H40, it's going to tell me that that's survey. This is also helpful when you start making formulas and you don't want to type the name of the cell, or you can't remember and you don't want to go back to a certain cell reference. You can just type the word survey in there. 9 says use DAVERAGE to summarize customer survey data. 9A says click the average ratings worksheet and select cell C5 to calculate an average comfort rating for the rugged hiking boots. So I'm going to click on my average ratings worksheet. It says click cell C5. And B, click the criteria sheet. 9C says click the select B2 and type rug asterisk. And press enter. 9D says click the average rating sheet tab and verify that cell 5C is selected. So I'm going to go back to the average ratings tab. I'm going to select cell C5. Click the insert function button, which is located in the formulas tab, function library group. So let's go to function, insert function. So I'm in my formulas tab, function library group, insert function. Choose database in the or select the category list. So if you click the drop down arrow for the first, when you go in to it for the first time, it might say most recently used. You just click the drop down arrow and select database, and you want to select DAVERAGE. It says averages the values in a column in a list or database that match conditions you specified. So there's a criteria that's going to happen, and it's going to look in our Excel spreadsheet. All right, so that takes care of 9F. 9G says select DAVERAGE. We took care of that. 9H says type survey for the database. So remember, one of the first steps we did was we named a range of sales survey. So this is where it comes into play, where it makes it easier. Instead of going back to look or typing in that survey range of sales on the satisfaction survey spreadsheet, we can actually just type the word survey in, and you see it says product ID, product, color, size. So it tells me exactly what that is because we set that earlier on. 9I says click the field box and type comfort. I'm going to type comfort here. 9J says click the criteria box and select the criteria worksheet. So I'm going to click the criteria box. Then I need to click the criteria worksheet. This is very important. And then I'm going to select cells B1 to B2. You see in your criteria, it's criteria box, it says criteria, exclamation, which means the criteria worksheet, and I want cells B1 to B2 from that criteria worksheet. So it says press F4 to make this an absolute reference. And also it says there's a figure 6-93. You need to make sure that what's in figure -93 matches up with what's in your Excel worksheet or workbook. Click OK. The result is 7.75. Even before I click OK, I see that I have 7.5 here, and formula result equals 7.75 here. So I know it's correct. All right. So now it says copy the formula in cells C5 to cells D5 and F5. So I'm going to copy. I'm going to go to D5 to F5. So I'm just going to copy the formula. I'm not going to hit the paste. I'm going to hit paste formulas. Select cell D5 and edit the field argument in the formula to show fit. So instead of comfort, we want to type fit. Alright, so repeat step M for cells E5 to F5 to use the correct field. Alright, so we want to go to E5, and instead of comfort, we're going to type style. And F5, instead of comfort, we're going to type value. Now's a good time to probably save, so I'm going to do a Control S. Alright, that takes care of E5 to F5. My highlighter get turned off. There we go. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to move on to step 10, which says use DAVERAGE to summarize survey data. And the D just means database. I don't think I mentioned that earlier on. So D10A says select the criteria worksheet. Select cell B5 and type COM asterisk. So we want to go to B5. I'm going to type COM because I'm setting it for, I think this would probably be the comfort shoes. Yeah, to specify the comfy walking shoes. Yeah. It says click the averages rating worksheet and select cell C6. So I'm going to go to average ratings. Going to go to C6. Click the recently used button. That's in the formulas tab, function library group. So recently used. I'm going to click that drop down and I'm going to select database average or D-average. 10E says type survey for the database argument. So survey. Field 10F says click the field argument box and type comfort. So that takes care of 10E, 10F. 10G says click the criteria box and select cells B4 to B5 on the criteria sheet and press F4. So I'm going to go to criteria. I'm going to go to cells B4, B5. Remember, very important that you click on the criteria worksheet while in the criteria box. And after that, I'm going to make it an absolute reference by pressing F4. H says click OK. The result is 7.5. All right. So I know that it's 7.5 because I see it here. And I'm looking down in the formula result. It says 7.5. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to pretty much do the same thing that I did in 9. Copy the formula in cell C6 to cells D6 to F6. So I'm going to Control or right mouse click and select copy. I'm going to select D6 all the way over to F6, right mouse click. I'm going, instead of just using the paste, I need to use the paste options, and I want to copy the formula over. I'm going to hit escape, and then I'm going to go to cell D6, and instead of comfort, I need to change this to fit. D or E6, I'm going to change comfort to style, and F6, I'm going to change from comfort to value. Now is a good time to save your document. Do a Control S. All right, moving on to step 11, build the average function for the remaining shoes styles on the average rating sheet. I haven't completed that yet. All right, so I might as well just set up my criteria. So we have lazy. I'm going over to my criteria spreadsheet. I'm in cell B8. I'm typing lazy. Next one, seriously. So I'm going to type SER asterisk. And then the last one is glide. GLI asterisk. So that sets up my criteria. Okay, after building database average functions for the remaining shoe styles on the average rating sheet, we'll move on to step 12. Select cells G5 to G9 on the average rating sheet. Click the auto sum arrow and choose average. So I'm going to select G5 down to G9, and I know I have G5 to G9 selected. We have the G column shaded and rows 5 to 9 shaded. So I know that I have G5 to G9 selected. I'm on my averages spreadsheet. I'm going to click the auto sum arrow, which is actually, it's also here, but it tells us to go to the home tab, editing group, and here, so it's two different places you can pull it from. You can pull it from the formulas menu or the formulas tab as well, which is where I normally get it from. We need to select average. All right, it automatically averages everything. So one thing I want to remind you that if you get to a point and you want to confirm whether or not your numbers are correct, if there are no figures to look at after the steps, you can always go to the end of the instructions, and it should have a spreadsheet. So we've taken care of that first spreadsheet. We're working on the average rating spreadsheet. You can always go in there and compare your numbers and your values with what's down here. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to move on to step 13. It says create an ifs function. So 13A says select cell H5, click the logical button, formulas tab, function, library group, and choose ifs. You can read this important message. All right, so we're going to select cell H5, go to my formulas tab, my function library group, and I'm going to go to logical button and ifs. If you hover over it, it says checks whether one or more conditions are met and returns a value corresponding to the first true condition. So I'm going to select that. That takes care of 13A. Click the logical test 1 arguments. Select cell G5. Type greater than 9. So I need to go to G5. And then I'm going to type greater than equals 9. So you see it says false. That takes care of 13B because it's not greater than 9. See, it's at 8.4. Let's see. Step 13C says click the value if true 1 box. And it says click J5. Press F4. Alright. It says look at figure 6-94. So I see it says false. Excellent. So far we're doing it correctly. And we're going to move on to the next. 13D. Click the logical test. Click cell G5. Alright, we're going to go back to G5 and type greater than or equal to 7. We see that says true. Click the value if true 2 box. And it says select J6. Alright, logical test 3 says click G5. I'm just going to type G5 in here. Is greater than or equal to 5. It says true. It says value if true 3 should be J7 with the function F4 key average. Alright. We have another one. Click the scroll down arrow to reveal logical test 4 box. I'm just going to type G5 less than 5. Click the scroll down arrow to reveal the value if true 4 box. Click J8. I'm just going to type J8 and I'm going to press my function F4 key. And it should look like what's in figure 6-95. So the complete formula is if G5 greater than 9, $J, $5, G5 greater than or equal to 7, $J, $6, G5 greater than equal to 5, $J, $7, and then the last one is G5 is less than 5, $J, $8. So that looks like it's correct. Click OK. And it says Click OK and copy formula to cells H6 to H9. H6 down to H9. Copy in the formula. Make column H 13.57, so let's hover between column H and column I. We can do it this way. Or we can right mouse click the column width and change it to 13.57. Alright, moving on to step 14. Before we even move on to that, we want to do a Control S to save. Step 14 says we're going to calculate depreciation for an asset using a financial function. 14A says click the depreciation sheet tab. So that's over here. And select cell C11. Depreciation is the decrease in the value of an asset as it ages. The DB function calculates the loss in value over a specified period of time. So 14A is taken care of. Click the financial button, which is located on the formulas tab in the function library group, and choose DB. So if we hover over it, returns the depreciation of an asset for a specified period using fixed declining balance method. So the declining balance method is what we're using. For the cost argument, select cells C6. So I'm just going to type C6 and I'm going to do my F4. That shows me that that's $175,000 or $175,000. $14D says click the salvage box and select cell C7 and make it an absolute reference by clicking your F4 function key. This is the expected value of the equipment at the end of its life. So at the end of its life, it's going to be worth $22,000. 14E says click the life box, select cell E8. I'm going to type cell or C8 and I'm going to press my F4 function key to make it an absolute reference. This is how long equipment will be in use. F says click the period box and select cell B11. I'm just going to type B11 here. The first formula calculates depreciation for the first year. So you see it says 139. Alright, so that kind of looks like what's in figure 6-96. Need to put anything? Nope, nothing needs to go into the month. So 14G says click OK. Alright. Copy the formula in cell C11 to cells C12 to C12 to C18. So I'm going to copy this formula. I'm going to right mouse click, select copy. And then it says go from C12 down to C8. Right mouse click. I'm going to select the paste formula option. So each year's depreciation is less than the previous year. So it looks right. All right, use concat to build an email address. Well, that takes care of step 14. So now we're going to move on to step 15. But before I do, I want to make sure that I save my document. I'm going to do a Control S. Okay, important. The concat function is new for the 2016 version of Excel. If you are using Excel 2013, use the concatenate function instead. All right. So it says right-click any worksheet tab. Choose unhide. Select email. Click OK. That takes care of 15A. 15B says select cell C5. Type equals CON. Press tab. The text, one argument is first. Yep. Says select cell A5. To move to text, two argument, we're going to select B5. I got to put a comma in there. And select B5. Put a comma in there to move to text 3. And then I'm going to type at WESHOES.org. Alright. So that takes care of 15D. 15E. Make sure we include the quotation marks, which I did. And it looks like what's in figure 6-97. It looks good. Let me put my quotation mark here. Alright, that should take care of it. Press enter, type the closing parentheses, which is already in there, and press enter. And it says copy the formula in cell 5 to cell C6 to C8. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste formula. So that takes care of that. All right. 16 says save and close. So I'm going to save and close. Next thing we need to do is upload the assignment to get graded. Alright, so this is the most recent. Alright, looks like we got something wrong. Oh, forgot to do the auto sum for the depreciation. We can change that real quick and easy. Scroll down, make sure that's what it is. 14.9. Alright. We'll open this back up. So we didn't auto sum, so we can auto sum formulas, auto sum. Alright. Save this. Close. Did it save? Alright, so we can go back in here. Upload. Alright. That will take care of guided project 6-3.